You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Here's Kevin.
In some conversations I've had with folks who, I guess you could call them influencers, but folks with a big social media footprint, and they haven't jumped into being an influencer, I think there's some fear that because of the new guidelines, both from the Federal Trade Commission in the United States, but also at the platform level, the platforms want to understand if it's branded content, right? And so you often have to check off a checkbox or use a different methodology when you're creating branded content. And I think there's a bit of a fear at the influencer level with regards to going down that path, right? So, either it's I'll be perceived as selling out, I'm no longer authentic or legitimate, or it might be that they're just concerned that the platforms will reduce their organic reach once they make the jump to becoming an influencer. So for those issues, either the loss of organic reach to the organic posts, which could obviously have a big negative effect to the influencer overall, or the fact that there's a sort of a regulatory and process overlay that the influencer has to deal with. Sort of, how do you recommend navigating that? And is that a legitimate fear that these folks have with regards to either losing their legitimacy or losing their organic reach if they make the jump into being an influencer?
So you raise a very valid point here about legitimacy. And when we've spoken to influencers, one thing we've realized is that they are actually okay declaring the post as a sponsored post because the followers actually know that is a sponsored post. For all practical purposes, if I am looking at an influencer explicitly promoting, let's say, shoes, and is giving me a discount code to buy it, I know it is a sponsorship. So the influencers actually are okay in many scenarios to talk about this being a sponsored post. I think the change needs to come at the brand level. A lot of brands are cognizant about the fact that regulations exist and they do ask the influencers to explicitly share a sponsored post as a sponsored post. But there are still many brands who, for the sake of being perceived as an organic post, do not enforce the influencers, or maybe sometimes even ask the influencers to not declare it. And I think that is where the change needs to come in. It's because if you are engaging an influencer to talk about your brand, the influencer will most likely do what you ask them to do. And that's where the brand needs to come in and say, hey, here are the policies that we follow. If you have to work with us, you need to declare it. And that way, actually, there is inherent trust between the followers and the brand, because now the followers know that the brand acted in the best faith and actually declared the sponsored post as a sponsored post. So I am of the belief that the brand should raise their hand and say, going forward, all our associations, they need to declare it as sponsored posts, otherwise we'll not go ahead with it.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in The Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.